Hey there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. I'm live. I'm live. I'm alive. Are you alive? I'm wondering if you've ever considered why you say you're fine when you're really not. I'm going to share the top 5 reasons of why I think people say they're fine when they're not. So thanks for joining me here today. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss my future videos. I'll be back here weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, coming to you live. And I'd love to hear what your questions are. Maybe I can come on live and address that. So this has happened to me for years when I reach out to clients because I can feel their energy. When I'm working with a client, I can sense that something's off, right? So I'll reach out to them and say, how are you doing? And they'll write back, fine, good. Have you ever done that? I know in the past I have, especially in a relationship. I guess they say that's passive aggressive behavior, but I didn't see it as passive aggressive. I saw it as wanting to avoid something. So I'm going to talk about the 5 reasons that I think people are unwilling to go in further. They'd rather use fine. So as a psychic medium, seeing the energy around people and understanding that we all have blocks and energy is always moving, we've got to understand, and my awareness has become that we have to learn to use tools and develop a muscle of clearing energies that keep us stuck. Whatever feeling comes, then there's another one that goes, and so on. There's an ebb and a flow constantly. But when we get stuck, and some of us who are extra sensitive can tend to do that. And so we go onto a default program that we've all been conditioned with. I think there's a fear of being vulnerable. If we come out and share the reason of why we're maybe not fine or we're not presenting ourselves as the way others expect us to be, it's scary. It's scary to come out and admit that, especially if you've got always a strong face or you're the shoulder that everybody cries on, so to speak. It's scary to be vulnerable and to be honest with yourself. I think that's the first step. I know in working with clients over the years, that is the biggest step that we can make. And oftentimes, soon as people reach out to me and make that appointment, all of a sudden there's healing and things start happening because they've said yes to the universe. They're ready to let go and unload, right? So I think that the second thing that I'd like to consider here is we've all been programmed with social norms, things that we say or don't say, to be polite. I know living in Dubai, this was a common thing. I'm fine. I'm fine. And they always had like a ring to their voice. And a couple of names are popping into my head, and I see them, and I'm like, you're here for a reason. There's something going on. And it would often take, 10, 15 minutes for me to pull it out of them to what was really going on for them. And so we have to get real with ourselves. We have to be willing to let go. And I guess then we have to trust the person. So that would be the third thing, is if you don't trust somebody, you're not going to be vulnerable, and you're not going to share, and you're not going to open up, right? And so that does take some massaging, being able to, one, trust ourselves that we're not going to fall apart because we share what's really going on for us. And then 2 is to be able to trust the person that they're not going to, stamp on your head. I know in the past I've shared things with certain people that gave me maybe the response that I wasn't looking for or that I didn't want. So that's the other thing, is if we're only sharing and only want to hear what we want to hear, perhaps that's not really getting us to where we want to go anyway. But yeah, so there's the one thing of the person that doesn't want to hear what they want to hear, doesn't want to hear what somebody has to tell them, because they know that they need to make a change or a shift in another direction. So, and I think that's what comes down to the fourth thing is judgment, that we're being judged for doing something against what the other person said. I know I'm thinking of a client who came to me and she couldn't get pregnant. And she, bear with me, this is along the lines. She couldn't get pregnant. She had a tumor the size of a grapefruit in her uterus. And she could conceive, but it wouldn't hold. And so she went to a doctor and he told her, oh, she needs to remove this tumor. It's an emergency, blah, blah, blah. I told her it's not an emergency. And we did one treatment. I remember that. I was when I was looking at her energy, I could see this male energy holding onto her wrists and just holding her, right? And I said to her, she was happily married, supposedly. And I said, well, I see a man holding your wrists and confining you, almost like restriction. And she said, yes, I was married before, and he was rather abusive. And I said, okay. So I started to clear this energy. When she went back to the doctor, the tumor shrunk, right? And I told her, you don't need surgery. This is shrinking, and we can, do another session or two and it'll be gone. You don't have to put yourself through the trauma of the surgery. Anyway, she didn't listen to me, and she was feeling like she couldn't come back because she was feeling shamed or feeling guilty that I was going to judge her, or wish, anyway, she made her own decision. Bottom line is, when that surgeon was cutting away the tumor, he said he'd never seen anything like it. The tissue was literally healing right behind the incision. So that was powerful. But the point is, she didn't want to tell me how she was doing because she knew she was fine. She was happy. She wanted to share the excitement with me. She was feeling afraid of being judged. And the other thing is misunderstanding, right? My understanding of what I explained and what I saw versus how she was understanding it from the doctor could have been different, right? So we feel intimidated to share how we're really feeling because of what somebody else might say. I know I recently had a friend that made some bad decisions, and I basically told her so. And, in retrospect, would I have done it different? I might have said it a little softer, but it was in such a way that it just sort of came out. So we have to, I think, there again, in the tools and the work I work when working with people, is to be grounded when we're going to either share that we're fine, finding that grounding cord, or we're not fine. That's the word. Is and I also teach a tool of separation. So protecting your aura. So if you're an empath and sensitive to what everybody's saying, first of all, we've got to clear and minimize our own sensitivities, or not take it so personal all the time, right? Learn to develop. It's a muscle, I think, that we learn to build. But also we can protect ourselves. And I don't mean protect yourself like stop the energy from flowing, because as an energy being, it's always flowing. What I mean is have a sense of awareness in your presence, in the present time, and have a decoy or a deflector symbol that would absorb that other energy, and it serves as a buffer, and it sort of seals you in your aura rather than being attacked when you share whatever's important to you. So I feel like I'm a little bit rambling Joe here today. I wanted to express that, being authentic and sharing how we really feel with the right person. Perhaps maybe we choose the best times, or try to find the best times, or finding people and finding support where you can be real and honest with yourself, and be able to shift or to heal from feeling lousy, crappy, and learning the lesson. Because I think every down minute we have an opportunity to heal ourselves. We have an opportunity to look at it in a new way and to learn something and to respond differently. So I sure hope that helps, and I wasn't rambling Joe here. But I'd like to share with you that my free training, The Reset, is very helpful. And in that training, I ask you, how are you feeling? There's a little practice a workbook that I have there that gives you a snapshot of where you're at. How are you feeling? Sometimes we get so bogged down or so distracted or so busy, we've lost track of how we feel in the moment. And so this is a perfect little tool to give you a snapshot and help you. You might be doing fantastic in certain areas of your life and you didn't realize it, right? So feeling fine is what I'm looking for, a real fine. We're looking to create that joyous spot where you can, look at what needs to be adjusted or reworked or, reframed, and create what you want, create what's in your heart, and live your life full of joy and abundance and manifest. Yeah, that's why we're here. Okay. So the link will be in the description. Go ahead and get started with the reset. If you're trying to figure out which way is up and you're not fine, and that's okay. That's okay to be not fine. I can support you with that. If that's you, just go ahead and reach out. There's a link below where you can schedule a one-on-one with me. We can have a brief chat about that. Okay. Have a magical day and shine bright.